Today, we're gonna get a little better at reading music. So, how you might ask? We'll start with a quick review of your three landmark notes. Then, we'll dive deep into intervals. And lastly, I'll give you a bunch of really short snippets of common musical patterns to follow for you to practice. And the idea is that you'll get used to seeing these common patterns and be able to quickly learn the pattern in your head and then translate that into your fingers. Instead of me saying, what is this note and what is that note? It'll be what this pattern sounds like. Like, how do you play this pattern? What does it feel in your fingers to play that pattern? Think of it as learning key phrases in a language rather than learning every single grammar rule. Okay, uh, let's get started. In lesson 5, we learned our landmark notes: treble G, middle C, and bass F. Remember that treble G is on line number 2, and the treble clef is also known as the G clef, and it swirls around the treble G line. Bass F is on line number 4, and the bass clef is also known as the F clef because these two lines surrounds the F line. Middle C has its own special ledger line, so it's quite easy to recognize and remember in both the bass and treble staff. Landmark notes helps us to find other notes, so it's important to memorize these three notes first. So how exactly do landmark notes help us? From these three notes, we can use our knowledge of intervals to help us quickly identify other notes. Also in lesson 5, we learn about the intervals of the seconds and thirds. Seconds go from line to space note, or the opposite, space to line, while thirds go from space to another space note or line note to another line note. If you can see this note right here, you can think of the closest landmark note to it, and that is it's a third above R treble G. Being able to recognize these intervals in our music reading can also help us down the road when we want to transpose, which basically means to place something in a different position, while ultimately sounding the exact same but higher or lower. And transposing will be something we look down the road. Let's get to know the next set of intervals, the fourth and the fifth. On the piano, the fourth is 4 notes apart. On the staff, fourths either starts from a line note to a space note or space note to a line note. You'll notice that the fourth line space pattern is similar to that of the seconds. But the difference is that fourths skips a line note or an extra line note, or it skips an extra space note. So to make this clear, it starts with a line note and it skips another line note and it ends on a space note. And the other example is you start on a space note and it skips another space note and it ends on a line note. When you play a fourth, it sounds like Here Comes the Bride. When I play intervals separated, this is called a melodic interval. But if I play them together, that is called a harmonic interval. And here are the examples: harmonic second, harmonic third, and harmonic fourth. And for the melodics, melodic second, melodic third, and melodic fourth. You can probably guess what the fifth looks like on the piano. Fifths are 5 notes apart, and whenever you are in a 5-finger position, finger 1 and finger 5 makes up the fifth. On the staff, fifths goes from a line note to and then it skips a line, and it then goes to another line note. When I play a melodic fifth, you can hear the beginning of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And I also found out that it has the exact same melody as the alphabet song, but they have different meanings. Okay, let's see how well we can recognize intervals on the staff. You'll see 2 notes as I hold them, and I'll give you all the notes and you'll figure out if it's a second, third, fourth, and fifth. Ready? Here we go. Now we move on to the common musical patterns, and I'll show what it is, and you can practice at your own pace, at your own time. This pattern I'm showing are a simplified Hanon exercises. If you don't know, Hanon has a set of technique exercises that are like this, that uses repetitive patterns. And these simplified patterns are the ones you're gonna practice for this week. Use one measure note pattern that start on middle C for the right hand, and they repeat the exact same pattern but on the next note higher. And it goes on and on until you reach the octave above middle C. So you'll be working on technique, getting your fingers used to playing different patterns, and you'll work on your note slash pattern recognition. When you learn these, try to keep your eyes on the score or the music sheet as you play so you can get used to translating what you see to your fingertips. This is also great for straightening your keyboard geography, or in other words, knowing where you are on the piano without even having to look. Here is the first measure, and it starts on middle C. Then it goes up a second, and another, and then down a second. Let's use our right hand first, and always begin with your first finger on the first note of each measure besides the last measure. And then the next measure. Then the other one. And you just have to keep going. One thing to know is to make sure you don't take breaks in between measures. And the last note of each measure will have to use a staccato, just so you don't lose the beat. The left hand plays is the same pattern, starting on bass C, and each measure will start on your third finger. Once each hand gets comfortable and you're able to play with a steady tempo, then try to play both hands together. And that is all for the lesson. I hope you find it informative, and until then, I'll catch you all on the next lesson.